思いは見えないけれど、思いやりは誰にでも見える。
I finally get home, and almost as soon as I get home, I get an email from my dad on my phone, because he has my Keitai email as well, my phone email. And he says, "Are you guys okay?" And I'm like, wait, what is he talking about? And how does he know? And holy crap, this is a big earthquake. Because if, after, it was maybe like 2 hours after it had happened, he contacts me. And that's when I realized, this is a big earthquake. Like I was saying, no water, no electricity, no gas, therefore no heat. And this was March, so it was still a little bit cold. And I think what was troubling was all the grocery stores had to shut down, all the convenience stores had to shut down. And everyone's trying to go back home to their families, trying to find food for their families, because, well, unless you had something stored away in the fridge or in the cabinets that didn't have to be cooked, then you didn't have many options. There was nothing to cook with, no gas or electricity. So thankfully, what we had was we had everything we needed to make okonomiyaki, and we recently bought a portable gas range, konro. It's like a portable stove basically for cooking grilled meat, like right on the table, Japanese style. So we used that as our stove, and we made some okonomiyaki. We invited our friend Dan over, and we made some okonomiyaki on the spot. And the entire town is pitch black. I mean, that was pretty much it. The only thing I could really do is look up on my phone, like check out the news on my phone, and that's when I found out the earthquake came from the northeast region, and at the time the death count was somewhere like in the 200s, and eventually grew to like 20,000, and that's mainly because of the tsunami. But mosquito. And so thankfully we had water running the next day. The rest of the town really didn't, and the rest of the city really didn't have any water running for at least, like, some people were without water for at most a month. So every day they had announcements coming from the speakers as to where to get water, usually from the municipal office or the schools in the area. They were giving out water for whatever you needed, for your toilets, for your baths, for cooking. So as for the aftermath, there was a lack of grocery items. There was a lack of milk for a long time, for a few weeks. There was a lack of bread, eggs, natto, and gas. And thankfully, it was my last day of school, and we were on vacation, so I didn't need my car. I was fine with my bike. But the gas supply was very limited, and there would be lines of cars outside the gas stations every day. So it was really difficult to get gas. But thankfully I didn't need any. And when I did eventually fill up, it was like on the way to a friend's apartment, like almost like 30 minutes away. And we saw a gas stand with like 3 or 5 cars lined up, and we're like, we should probably take advantage of this and get gas now. So a lot of the areas that are by bodies of water, whether it be the rivers or the lakes, they are the areas that receive the most damage. For example, I have a school by the river where the entire... I can explain how the building is built. There's a school... Schools are usually annexed to the gymnasium in this area. I have 2 schools whose annexes were unsafe, so they had to shut it down, and the kids had to enter the gym through other means. And a lot of the schools received damage here and there. Thankfully, we didn't receive any damage here at the apartment because we live on a hill, and the hill absorbs a lot of the shock that we get in the area. But most importantly, I have this year I started teaching at one of the junior high schools, and now I teach in an area, and if I can paint a picture or a map in your head, you've got a triangle, and at each point of the triangle is an elementary school, and I teach at all three of those elementary schools. In the center of that triangle is the junior high school, so all the kids that graduate from these three elementary schools, not all of them, but most of them, come to this one junior high school. So I know most of the kids in the junior high school too, because they're my graduated students. So I found out this year that I'm teaching there. I'm really excited. I'm like, yes, I get to see the first year and the second year students. I know all of them, so I'm really excited to be teaching them again. But what had happened was let's just call it the East Wing. The East Wing had separated from the main school about this much. It's just came apart, and so the building was condemned. The building is condemned, and it's unsafe, so the kids can no longer learn there. So what's happened is they've merged the junior high school and the elementary school together. So now all 77 of the kids from the junior high school now have to go to the elementary school, and the teachers as well. So that elementary school right now is just crammed, and I'm teaching at both the junior high school and the elementary school. So I'm there almost like 3 times a week now, teaching both elementary school and junior high school, and I can tell you it's crammed in there. And as time went on, they found out it would be more and more this would become more and more permanent because the damage, they're not going to be able to fix it for like another few years. So it's a really tough time for a lot of Japan, whether it was up in the Sendai and Fukushima area, who their lives have completely changed, and even down here we've had some small changes, not as big as over there obviously, but we've had some small changes here too. And so it's been a really rough time for Japan, so it's a good time to support. Now, one last thing I wanted to talk about was family and friends back home I was talking to. The big concern was, are you coming back? And, not a lot of people said, oh, you have to come back or you should come back, but there was obviously a great concern of, are you coming back? Do you want to come back? That kind of thing. And I told everybody, I honestly feel safe where I am, in this apartment on the hill. I feel safe from the earthquake. From the nuclear power plant, it's a good, almost 300 kilometers away. And, I trust that they're going to have everything under control. And if, a thing does happen, then, it's going to be in small doses, and it's not going to be all that serious. At least that's how I perceive it. And I'm being really optimistic about it. Naive maybe, but definitely optimistic about it. But lastly, I wanted to be here for anybody who's supported me, anybody who's been there for us through these past 2 years. The people here have been helpful to us. So I want to be there to support them and help them and to be by their side. And I told a lot of the teachers, I didn't want to just leave you guys. And I have a few minutes left. And Japan's got thousands and thousands of foreigners, and over the course of these past 2 months, some left and some stayed. It was that fight or flight mentality. And I don't judge either decision. If you want to leave, leave. If you want to leave, if you want to stay. But walking around Tokyo and Nagoya a few weeks ago, we were able to count the amount of foreigners on our fingers. There were less than 10. So a lot of people did leave, and a lot of people did stay, and we chose to stay to support and help Japan. So that's it. My time's up. Ganbare Nippon.